Welcome to Maple Leaf America. Regent Park is one of the toughest, most dangerous sections of Toronto. This week, we study the career of a young man who escaped this neighborhood via hockey. The life and times of David Silverstone from Roanoke, Virginia, on this special edition of Maple Leaf America. Welcome back to Maple Leaf America in Virginia. Number 11 for the Roanoke Express of the East Coast Hockey League is rookie winger, Toronto native David Silverstone. A mucker, a grinder, a scrapper who's battling his way through a pro hockey career. It's a virtual walk in the park compared to his upbringing in Regent Park.
You know, you could ask me what I've seen. I'd tell you I've seen everything at its worst. I've seen guns pulled out on people. I've seen people stabbed, people beat, baseball swinging, hitting people, tons of fights, crackheads, prostitutes, gangs, drugs, every kind of drug I've seen, you know, exchange different people's hands, people using them, people overdosing, just laying in the middle of the street, in dumpsters. Yeah, I've seen it all.
Why are you guys in Regent Park?
Not enough money, I guess, was a big thing. You know, my dad was slugging furniture pretty much his whole life. My mom never had a job, and I guess that's where we ended up. My dad, blue-collared worker, solid man, took care of his family and made sure we had everything that we needed.
His family made him like stick to hockey. He always went to school. His education came first. His family is like really positive to him. Like always made him feel comfortable, like never like put him down or nothing. They were always there for him. Him and his dad, well, Carol and Dave Sr., they were always there for him.
I still remember the day a couple of my guys I know came up to me and they had a bag full of stuff in their hands, you know, that wasn't the good stuff. And they're like, we can go in on this and, you know, make a lot of money off this. And I thought about it, you know, and just I said no, you know, sure enough. A couple weeks later, a couple of guys I knew, they ended up in jail and they were only, you know, 18 years old. So, you know, they had all the money, all the fancy gear and stuff like that, you know, and I was still wearing like hand-me-down track pants and sweaters I got from people. But, you know, I guess it's worth it now. It's sort of paying off.
When you're in that kind of neighborhood, you tend to want to survive, and some kids just made the bad choices. I mean, like, Regent has a lot of great athletes. You know, I can tell you stories for hours about athletes that came out of there. I'm talking through grade school, high school, you know, that were phenomenal, you know. But unfortunately, when you're stuck in certain situations, you want quick access to money. So they make bad choices. You know, drugs is one way, you know. Sell drugs, you make quick money, right? You get the shoe that you probably would have to wait 5 months to get because your parents were working. But, you know, if you deal drugs, you get it instantly.
Well, there's one time me and him, we'd go skating on school nights around 1 in the morning, hop the fence of the rinks. We were both skating there, and then gunshots went off, about 15 of them from like 10 feet away from us. So we laid on the ice. We laid there for at least 3 hours until we walked home in our skates. Ran home in our skates, up the stairs and up into our bedroom, took our skates off.
Didn't even cross our mind to take our skates off. Because you get up and someone thinks that you saw something, you know, you could be just as much trouble as that guy that's laying there that got shot.
Some of those friends that he was close with that always knew David, was shot. You know, I don't know the real circumstances, but, you know, those are some of the tragedies that happen in neighborhoods like Regent.
2 summers ago, it was actually 3 buddies in the one summer. One of them I played baseball with for a couple of years. He's a great kid, you know, just in the wrong place, wrong time.
What happened to him?
He was shot in the back of the head.
What was he doing?
Just out late, you know, like I said, wrong place, wrong time.
Was he involved in something, or somebody just robbed him?
No, just like that, yeah, just snuck up behind him, and I don't know what it was for, or if he deserved it. I doubt he deserved it. He's a great kid, stuff like that. And then I had 2 other buddies, similarity stuff, just shot late at night, walking through the neighborhood.
I don't like to talk about that. I don't like to bring it up or nothing.
You know, a couple of these kids were like, you know, sometimes they didn't have the opportunities Dave had. Like maybe someone do have fathers, someone didn't. It's supported home where it starts. You know what I mean?
And it's just making the right choice or the wrong choice. Things can happen so quickly. It's like,
A lot, and some,
it was very sad because these boys, like some of them played with Dave on his baseball team, like he was just brokenhearted. It's just, that's how fast things can happen. It's a sad, sad situation.
Glen Metropolitan's a perfect example of, good and bad, just wrong choices. It had nothing to do, because they're brothers, they both grew up in the same, part of town. And Glenny, he used what he had. His hockey was his ticket, and I didn't really know his brother that much, but, Glenn went one way and his brother went the other way, good and bad. But sometimes you got to make choices. Everyone has a choice to make. You can make the right choice, you can make the wrong choice.
Well, of course, Glenn had talent, though, to play hockey at a high level where his brother maybe didn't.
Yeah, but if you want something, if you want to get out of something, you have to work hard. Put your everything you got into it, to make that right choice, or give yourself that talent. Not everyone can be blessed with talent, but just work at it. You don't have to always go to the easy way out, because there's no really easy way out.
My mom obviously was, kept me straight and kept me going for it and encouraging me, and had some great relatives too that were in and out of my life, kind of helping me out through hockey. It's an expensive sport up there when you don't have much money joining leagues and buying equipment, and I was fortunate enough to have some great relatives. And for my brother, though, he got caught. He went down the wrong road. He's doing 12 years in jail right now, and his life's kind of put on hold, to say the least. But he went down that road, unfortunately, and I was lucky enough to like the game of hockey, and that's how you see them get out of there, out of that scene down there. You got some kids that are really smart that get out that way, get a couple scholarships, and but for my case and for some other guys, John Madden was kind of growing up down that area too, and he's with the Devils right now, and he got out going through hockey, and there's a couple other kids that are kind of growing up in that area that are kind of making their way out.
I grew up in poverty myself, and for the kids around here to be playing hockey and be lucky enough that we have these open rinks, it's great. I can't say enough about it.
I'd leave work at about 8:30, and Dave would be out there hitting the ball against the wall. And I'd come back at 4:30, and he was still hitting the same ball against the wall. So I said, something's got to be natural here. I mean, nobody hits a ball or a puck that much. And then he progressed to hitting the ball against the wall to a puck, hitting the wall, and then he used to shake the whole house with the puck, and I'd say, Dave, you got to take it easy on the house. You know what I mean? You're starting to break the bricks. During Dave's career, never a scout ever talked to us. And Dave would always be the top goal scorer. And the scouts, he says, Dad, how come the scouts talk to everybody and never us? I go, I don't know. I said, well, if you keep working hard like you do, somebody has to see you. And one day, Mike Crawford, was in St. Mike's Arena, but he was in the wrong arena. And it was the first time the coach let Dave play on the top line, on the first line. And this is how fate happens. And Dave come right down, scored a goal. And Mr. Crawford happened to be sitting beside my wife. And he was from Central Scouting with his friend. And he's seen Dave play, goes, and he's talking, he's seen my wife jumping up, and he says, excuse me, is that your son by any chance out there? But she was jumping up and down. I was just sitting
I get
back.
Emotional.
And she said, yeah. And he looked at him and said, I'm kind of interested in him. So he come down on, he had this Pepsi Edition 10-speed bike. And it was a beautiful bike. It was worth, I don't know how much money, because the streetcars were on strike. It was a summer day, coming riding down, instead of driving, because he's an athlete too. So, so he talks on to it, said, yeah, Mr. Crawford, we're all excited. Dave's like the Prime Minister.
We're all
coming
in the
to your
house like this.
We're all waiting just like we are today. And he says, I'll just leave my bike here. I said, oh, Mr. Crawford, I said, bring your bike in the house. It's a Pepsi Edition bike. He says, listen, there's a police car out the front, though. I said, please bring that bike in the house. He goes, no, I'll put it on your porch. So he brought it up, put it on the porch.
We all sat down.
He walked through those doors, and he sat on there, and at the point of that sofa.
I went to make a tea.
She went to make a tea for him. And he said to Dave, Dave, the Lord has gifted you with a slap shot. And he looked out the window like this, and he goes, hey, where's my bike?
It was gone.
And the bike was gone. And Dave, we all went, huh? Not the Prime Minister's bike, not the Scout's bike. You know what I mean? And I said, oh, my daughter must have took it. And then she come running down the stairs and goes, what's happening? I went, oh, no. And we all just went white as ghosts. Somebody stole his bike.
Right off the veranda.
Within 30, yeah.
And there was a police car there.
So we said to the policeman, did you see anybody take a bike? And the police officer said, I didn't see nothing. So now we're all, and Dave, he jumped on his bike and he went up and down the street around.
He couldn't
and
find it.
we figured, that's it. That's it for the shot. You know what I mean? And Mr. Crawford said, he looked at us. He doesn't get excited. He looked at us. He come back and he goes, you know what, Dave? There's one thing about it. I'll never forget you.
David's been competing for Regent from ever since he's been young. His brothers do, and he loves it. Anything that has to do with Regent Park, the boy will leave what he's doing to come wear anything that says Regent Park, you know. I've given him, because I used to coach the Regent baseball teams, and I know every year when I get a hat, he wants a hat that says Regent Park. He'll get pissed off if I don't have a hat for him, right? Just because he has to wear it. And he wears it in Belleville, he wears it in Roanoke, everywhere he goes, just to let people know I'm a Regent Park boy.
Stay with us. More on David Silverstone from Regent Park to Roanoke on this special edition of Maple Leaf America. Welcome back to Maple Leaf America. Roanoke, Virginia is a long way from Regent Park, Toronto, more than 1,200 kilometers. Culturally, it's on a different planet. Now, while David Silverstone is enjoying the Dixie hospitality, he's also constantly reminded, you can take the kid out of the bad neighborhood, but you can't take the bad neighborhood out of the kid.
Night in and night out, that's all I think about is my brothers and sisters. Make sure they're all right. I know they're fine. My mom and dad they take care of our family. But, like me and my littlest brother, we're really close. Benny, he's a smarter one, so me and the younger one get all over him about that. But yeah, every night I always think about my brothers and sisters, what they're doing, if they're all right.
We were on the ice one morning, and he was terrible. He was doing everything wrong. He wasn't paying attention, and very uncharacteristic of him. And finally, after practice, I called him. I called him aside and said, what's the deal? And I was a little annoyed with him. And he just broke down in tears and started crying to me. And I was like, what's going on here? And he told me the night before, about 1 in the morning, he was on his phone in Roanoke with a buddy of his back in Toronto who was walking home from a men's league game. And he was jumped in the neighborhood. A fight ensued. Next thing you know, shots go off, and the cell phone goes dead, and that's it. That's the last David had heard of him. So David came to the rink the next morning with this on his mind, obviously couldn't focus on his job, and found out later in the day that the phone was hit with a stray bullet, but his buddy was okay.
Well, I'm sure there's, gangs and violence everywhere, but, you don't really see it too much here. You got the big mountains and all the nice green stuff, not much garbage around here. Town's clean. And then Regent Park's just, me personally, I love it there now, it's because it's made me who I am, street smart wise, stuff like that. There's a lot of great people there too. Other than that, just Roanoke's just a really nice city. I like it here.
Draw, you guys. Chris, Silver. Let's go north here. Take them.
Passionate, warm-hearted, intense, and very genuine. I mean, what you see is what you get with David Silverstone. He's a true character, a true passionate player, and even more passionate off the ice for his teammates. He's a terrific person on and off the ice.
The biggest thing you notice when it comes to David Silverstone is his heart. He's got the heart of a lion, and he's not afraid of anybody on the ice, but he's got a huge heart off the ice. The fans love him. He's always going out of his way to make time for the fans and the kids, and the people here love him.
This is Tara, my biggest fan right here. I love everything about her. She's got supports me 110%. But I still remember I was a kid, I used to get autographs in the Maple Leaf Gardens all the time, and one time a visiting team player shut me down. I spent my lunch money on his card for him to sign it. And I said if I ever played pro hockey one day, or any kid wanted the time of day for an autograph, I'd never say no to him.
I guess the Belleville coaches would say that hockey sticks are going missing. Like, what's going on, But if a kid comes to watch David play, he would okay, go out the back door. I got a stick. Take the stick and go. So he's, he would go out of his way to get stuff for kids. He would come when he comes home. Like, we had a roller hockey program that we ran in the spring for the Regent Park kids, and he got some equipment through Belleville, and he came as soon as his hockey was over. He was refereeing. You know, he did skill session with the kids.
The puck budget's probably gone up quite a bit since you got here.
Well, that started it. Actually, I was hoping you were going to bring that up. I was in my buddy, Adam Paymont. He plays in Belleville. I played with him for 2 years. His dad played for the Sabres, Wolf Paymont, and they took me to a Buffalo game. We got to sit in the box seats there, and I looked down at the end of the period, and Rob Ray was throwing pucks out to all the kids, and it was just amazing, like the smiles on their face, how happy they were and stuff like that. And sure enough, we played 2 nights later in Belleville, and I must have gave away at least 30 pucks. You know, the trainer's hair was standing on end, and he was ripping it out. But just, you know, seeing the kids smile and stuff like that, it was worth taking the little bit of a lay-in I got to, but it was worth it.
And people said, "Are you Mr. Silverstone?" And I said, "Yeah." They said, but they were all had sad looks on her and tears in her eyes. And he said, "You think we has any chance we could talk to your boy?" And I said, "Well, sure." I says, "Why? What's the problem?" And listen, I can't tell.
Their son really liked David because David did a lot of hockey things with the kids on the ice, like skills and that, and he really took the time to give them all pucks when, you know, you're warming up and you'd throw them pucks and they'd look through the glass and call his name, put his name on the window, and they'd look through.
But this is about the family.
Yes, I realized that, hon. And the mother's little boy, like the little boy at the game, wanted David to come and see him. He was in the hospital and he was very, very ill. And now can you finish it?
He was terminally ill.
Yeah.
And he said, "Do you think your son could come and meet our boy?" And I said, "Well, sure." And so when David come out, he, they talked to him, and he said, "Oh, great." And I said to Dave, I said, if you've never done anything, you've done it all today.
Yeah.
You know, I'm hit. Yeah.
You know, because we have 4 healthy children. That's a blessing. And hockey is a good thing because you see all these little kids at the games and they're waiting to talk and they're looking up to them like a mentor.
Stay with us. More on David Silverstone's life here in Roanoke as Maple Leaf America continues. We are back on Maple Leaf America, wondering if, when David Silverstone's hockey career is over, will he be forced to move back to Regent Park? The answer is no. He wants to move back.
I'll go back home for sure, once hockey's done, because that's my home. We've had our house where we've lived for 100 years now. It's been in our family, so I probably won't change anything in that perspective. Trying to save some money right now, and I got a few ideas and things I want to do in the end when hockey's over with, business-wise. I'd like to really maybe be a coach, maybe an agent, just something, own my own team one day, or just something to stick around the game, because I know the game, I love the game, I eat, sleep the game, so I'd like to be around the game and when hockey's over with.
Like Dave's got heart. He wears his heart on his sleeve everywhere he goes, and one day I told him, I said, "Listen, Dave, you're the top goal scorer in the team. Now the other team's going to come at you." I said, "If somebody wants to hit you, let them hit you and get a penalty." So a guy come over, and Dave sure enough scored a goal, and the guy hit him, boom. And Dave looked at the referee. The referee didn't do anything. So the guy hit him again, boom. And then he looked at the ref didn't do anything. So the guy pulled his helmet up, and he hit him. And he really like TKO'd him, like Dave was out standing up. And the guy beat him and beat him and beat him.
Oh, yeah, that was...
And I'm telling you, it's not one of those stories. But there was a police officer on our team, but he was in his uniform because he was like assistant coach. And he ran over and he had to tell the refs, "Stop that before I arrest you both on the ice." So I went into the dressing room, and afterwards, and Dave's skull was out like this, right?
It had lumps all
And you know what he
over.
said to me? He said, "Dad, I didn't go down."
Oh, it was so sad.
Can you imagine that? "Dad, I didn't go down." And he's saying that, and he said, "And it'll never happen again."
I got a beating one time against the Wexford Raiders, Jarrett Wynn. I think he broke his left hand and maybe fractured his right wrist. He beat me so bad I couldn't put my helmet on the next day for practice. And my little brother and my dad were sitting there, and I told him I'd never get beat like that or never back down from anyone ever again. And now when someone has to go, it doesn't matter if he's 6'10" or 5'1", you can count on it, we're gonna go.
He was playing for the OHL, And he said, Mom, they just don't know me. I don't know the meaning of quit. And that goes back to when he was younger, like Carl's age, and his father had ripped the word quit out of our dictionary. We still have the dictionary upstairs. And David was having a tough time, and he went up and got the dictionary. He said, Dave, find me the word quit. David's looking and looking. He said, I can't find it, Dad. It's not there. He goes, that's right. You're not a quitter.
I really think he'll make it to the NHL someday. You know, I believe it because nobody gave Glenn Metropolitan a chance and cut him off. He was too small, this, and you know, David's just, you know, the same way. You know, Metro stuck with it, and times when people would have quit, you know, retired from hockey or whatever, you know, and David has the same heart.
For Silver, Dave, I hope he goes to the NHL, obviously. I hope he makes the NHL because his family, you know what I mean, put so much into where he is right now. To me, I just trying to find a job and stuff. Get out of here.
I'd really like to see Benny and Carl, Benny especially, go to university and become something big because he's so smart.
He says that I have more talent than him, so he wants me to go to the school route. He says because if you get a free education, then you can get everything. Because you go to school, you'll have backups for if you don't make the hockey.
When we were younger, he used to put me in goalie equipment and just tie my hands to the corners of the goalie net and just shoot the pucks at me, and I'd be screaming at the top of my lungs. He's like, yeah, don't worry, I'm gonna go for your side. I'm practicing, you're helping me out. And like, it'd go off my head, and it was crazy. And just me and a whole bunch of other kids who'd get all together and play ball hockey in the laneway.
She's actually trying to get a job right now with the Toronto Board of Education, just, you know, a teacher assistant right now. And she's great with kids and stuff like that, so I don't see there being a problem with her getting a job there. Hopefully she gets a job there, you know, it's a well-respected job. Pops, you know, never had anything, and he doesn't make a ton of money, but he worked, I guess, a solid, you know, 2.5 weeks overtime. And Graf came out with the 707 skates, and his check was $700 for, I guess, the 2 weeks, and he took me to mostly hockey, and he bought me those skates. So that was a really big shocker, you know. But like, my dad would do anything for any one of us or any one of my friends. Solid man.
David has done everything that I can think of. Whether he moves on or he doesn't, he's the baby I had. Still proud of him, whatever fate has to hold. He's molded, hockey's helped Dave mold into a beautiful person. He's generous, he's a straight up kind of guy, and he's always willing to share his knowledge with other people, good and bad.
Dave will be a man's man, and there's nothing more you want.
Thank you for joining us this week and this season on Maple Leaf America. Glad to have you with us along the way. Enjoy the postseason. We'll see you down the road.